Welcome to the latest edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm John Gonzalez alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder. We are firing all cylinders today. We are just clicking. We're moving along.
Yeah.
Two congratulations. One for producer Aaron's Liverpool wrapping up the Premier League, and two for you, Copa del Rey, Barca's comeback. Both of you really excellent, fun soccer games this weekend.
Visca Barca. I had to watch NBA games and I had to go to my kids' soccer game. So I turned off every phone in my house because my wife and kids are fans too, and watched it in pieces. Finally got to it after one of the. I was screaming! What a game! What a performance!
You're one of the few people I know who consumes soccer the way that I do, because we have to watch basketball, and I can't get to the soccer until the basketball is over. And my friends think it's like unusual, and I'm like, "Don't you have jobs? How are you watching soccer in the middle of the day in a weekday?" But they figure it out. But anyway, congrats to you guys, and be sure to check out all of our coverage on CBS Sports. We had a ton of crazy stuff happen in the NBA this weekend. It was a wild weekend. The Pistons got robbed by the refs. The Lakers are in trouble thanks to Bill's Wolves. Used to be my Wolves, now they're his. The Nuggets even the series on a buzzer beater of all buzzer beaters. The Warriors won one without Jimmy. The Grizzlies offseason has begun. We got a ton of stuff to get to today. But first, we have to start with Dame and the injury. The Pacers are ahead 3-1 in the series, but the big story, obviously, is Dame went down with a non-contact injury in Game 4. About 6 minutes into the first quarter, Bill, he was helped off the court. He did not return, immediately grabbed at his left Achilles. We haven't got confirmation on that yet, but it certainly looked like that. And for him to be helped off the court that way, like, what a bummer for after he comes back from the blood clot, for him to just crumple. And now, like, there's so many ripple effects here.
He knew too. As soon as he went down, he knew it was bad, and we all knew it was bad. It's awful. And the best point that I have heard, seen, or read that I stole yesterday on CBS Sports HQ, but I credited the person who said it, came from one John Gonzalez.
Oh.
And that is, you texted this to producer Aaron and I. Based on his age, he turns 35 in July, based on the nature of the injury, based on his contract, based on the situation Milwaukee finds themselves in, he might be the new Bradley Beal. And I was feeling all the feels for him and the situation, but your point is what crystallized how dire it is for him, his chances at having running a championship, his team, the fact he ended up in an organization he didn't want to be at and was still a great, gracious teammate. The whole thing is awful.
Yeah, I mean, it really puts Milwaukee and Giannis and obviously Dame in dire straits here. I mean, they're up against it. For them to get out of the series, it's highly unlikely. They're probably going to be a first-round exit for the third straight year. And then as we forecast forward, so Dame is about to be 35. He's going to miss next year because the Achilles, if it had happened like super, super early at the beginning of the season, maybe he'd have a shot. Now we're into almost May. The chance of him coming back to play any significant time next year is super slim. So he misses next year. His contract is $54 million next year. The year after that, he's got a player option. He's picking that up. $58.4 million. Nobody's going to want him at 36 coming off an Achilles. So like maybe it's non-zero chance Milwaukee could find somebody to take him, but what do you have to pay to get it to offload him? It's a really difficult situation, not just for the player, but also for the Bucks, who, even if Dame had not gotten injured yesterday, Bill, and they had just played it out and they had lost the series, and John Horst, who just got an extension that also we thought was kind of curious, but he got an extension. Congrats to John Horst. If he had decided, okay, we're going to blow this thing up, it still would have been difficult to figure out how to move the pieces around. Now he's handcuffed to Dame probably, and I guess you have to automatically pivot to, all right, let's see what kind of haul we can get for Giannis.
Yeah, and by the way, I think that is probably the right conclusion in a vacuum if you are John Horst, and you're right, it is perplexing he got renewed, although I like the guy, and so good for him. That presumes that you have a choice. The other side of this is, if you're Giannis, and I have reported and discussed a lot and brought up because I got so much hate for it, including my own radio network. If I told you this, there's a guy from Wisconsin that's on my national radio network, you're a liar! Like, all right, man.
Okay.
Yeah. There's already been an appetite and a belief, a hunger for the belief that Giannis was going to be available if things went badly this year, and things have gone badly before you factor in Lillard. So if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo and they've squandered a couple years of your prime after coming off a championship, they've hired Doc Rivers, it hasn't worked out. He's been pretty vocal about the fact that as long as they're winning, he'll stick around, and he can't envision not winning 2 rings. And now Lillard goes down. Even if you're John Horst and you decide, or your owners want to decide that you want to keep Giannis is gonna. Why would Giannis want to stick around Milwaukee? So the whole thing is It's a mess, and I don't see a good solution, John, for Milwaukee on a 2 or 3 year timeline.
No, it was going to be a mess anyway, Bill. And now
Right,
it's a
right.
complete utter disaster. Okay, so going forward, roughly 80% of the cap for the Bucks is tied to Giannis, Dame, and Kyle Kuzma through 2027. Further complicating issues. I'm just going to run through their draft picks. 2025 first this year goes to the Nets. 2026 next year first. Pelicans have a swap rights. Year after that, 2027 goes to either the Pelicans or the Hawks. Year after that, Blazers or Wizards have a swap. 2029 now we're into. Blazers or Wizards get there first. And then in 2030, the Blazers have swap rights. Bill, that's disastrous.
And think how good those draft picks, or several of them, are now likely to be.
Yes.
I've criticized Joe Cronin, the GM of Portland, and that was easy to do at the start of the year when they looked like a disaster. Mea culpa, right? Like Cronin, the GM in Portland, hell of a job, came on strong at the end, and what he was able to get for Lillard, right? I mean, Miami never could have returned what came back because Miami's picks are never going to be as valuable. They're always going to find a way to grind their way into the playoffs. I mean, those Bucks picks could be top picks in the draft over those years.
Blazers 2028 or Wizards having the swap, and then the Blazers or Wizards getting that 2029, and then another swap after that. Yeah, having control of the Bucks draft for those 3 years after Giannis is going to be playing somewhere else is really tasty.
What I was having this conversation with an NBA person I was talking to about something else over the weekend on the phone. It just came up. If you're Giannis, right, and you want to exert some control, let's say that he goes, but you're willing to do it in a way where enough comes back that it makes sense for Milwaukee. Where do you want to go? Like I mean, I don't know that Giannis makes as much sense for Houston and what they need. If you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, where are you targeting?
Yeah,
I mean, why go to Brooklyn?
So Houston is interesting, but yes, I'm with you that like he doesn't exactly solve their shooting problems, right? I mean, he might help solve some of their closer problems.
That's true.
But yes, Brooklyn is interesting. Depends on what kind of team they can put around him, but they've got a lot of flexibility.
Toronto?
I saw Toronto. Maybe I saw somebody had suggested San Antonio. But then, you're asking for Stephon Castle back, and like, are they going to be willing to do that? But I guess it is Giannis. Giannis and Wemby together would be ridiculous. Here's another one that's kind of scary. I mean, Oklahoma City still hasn't moved any of those picks.
So if you're the Thunder and you win this year, or you lose to the Celtics in a 7-gamer, why? As great as Giannis is.
Okay, and I would agree with you under most circumstances, but then I think back to when KD super teamed an already super team when he united with the Warriors, and it's like they had won the championship and they added another guy, and then they're like, oh, right, we're even better now. If Oklahoma City gets across the finish line and or loses in a tight one, I mean, why not? I don't know who you're giving up, but like they have a whole bunch of pieces off that bench that if you're giving up like Kason Wallace and Isaiah Joe and I don't know, Aaron Wiggins and 4 first-round picks or something.
Right, a million picks. I mean, a million picks.
Yeah,
I love Giannis. Like I'm a huge believer fan. Like the guy personally, amazing player. There's one team in the NBA where I might say no, and that team is the Thunder. What if they beat Boston in 5? I mean, I don't know. Like, do you really want to disrupt it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. It's what they've built works. Let's see what happens in terms of like how they finish it out. But I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility because if any team has the assets to move for somebody of Giannis's caliber, like you'd have to put Oklahoma City at the front of the line. Obviously Brooklyn as well. And Houston, just in terms of like what you could offer, those teams are going to be way up there. And the Spurs.
If you're Giannis, why would you want to go to? I mean, I agree with everything you said. I take him at his word that he really wants to win, that he really wants championships. And there's a world where if you're Giannis and you're competitive, you still have a path forward to have more rings than Jokic, as much as we can sort of project their careers, which is crazy. Brooklyn's not putting a championship level team together next year. They're
No.
not. That's another
No,
wasted
but
year.
there's also the allure of New York and its
Right,
big
fair.
market, although you're always going to be the second team there. What about Doc? Do we think that Doc, with 3 more years after this, is time to move on? You immediately texted or maybe it was Aaron, but one of you two
It was me.
The odds on Doc's next team, courtesy of Bovada. The Kings and the Grizzlies are plus 650. The Nuggets and the Suns are plus 950. I mean, if you're the Bucks, I would just say we're going to suck anyway. We'll have to pay you anyway. Guess what? You're coaching, unless you want like to come to some sort of agreement where we'll let you out of your contract, but not for the money.
Have you ever read Mark Twain's A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court?
Not in a long time.
That is me with Doc Rivers. So basically, a guy goes back in to the medieval days, and he has technology, and everyone's like, "You're a wizard." I got a lot of stuff wrong. I'm having a good run right now, but like we all do, right? We prognosticate right and wrong. I can't tell you how much hay I've made on just saying every year Doc Rivers sucks and it being correct. Twice a year, my editor hits me up like, "Can you write Doc's not very good?" And it's like a Russian doll. It's just you in there. I linked to something I wrote 6 months ago, and in there it links to something. I mean, Doc was. I'm just going to take a victory lap, and I'm going to say, if you are one of the teams out there who was on that list of favorites if you got fired, the Suns were on the list. There's so many.
Suns, Nuggets, Grizz, Kings.
Don't hire Doc Rivers. I hear what you're saying on. You have to pay him, and they're already paying other coaches, and that's not an organization that wants to spend massive amounts of money. But you need to rebuild a culture if Giannis goes away. I mean, part of what has made the Rockets successful is Ime Udoka, and part of what made the Thunder successful is Presti and Dagnall and just the culture that they've built. I know it's like easy to roll your eyes at culture, but it matters.
No,
and
it does.
I know I'm labeled a Doc Rivers hater. I would say just a Doc Rivers reporter. He doesn't build successful cultures. People aren't happy. So I don't want to entrust him. If you have any chance to sort of reboot in the next 3 or 4 years, you have to get the right return for Giannis. You have to. That's a horse call. And then you have to have a culture of belief and positivity and sort of a pluckyishness that we've seen in Houston, Oklahoma City that grows into something else. I wouldn't trust Doc Rivers to create that.
I can't believe what bad shape they're in. Real quick, let's take a break and we can do this on the other side because Aaron posed a really provocative question in our group chat about who you'd rather be, the Bucks or somebody else. I'll ask you that on the other side. We'll also get into the Knicks at the buzzer beater, second year in a row that they stole one, or the refs stole one on their behalf. We've got the Nuggets coming up. The Grizzlies are into the offseason. We'll do all that on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc. All right, welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, we are a podcast. Please find us wherever you get your favorite shows. Download, subscribe, leave a review. All right, Bill, real quick last thing on the Bucks. Would you rather be the Bucks or the Wizards moving forward?
I would much rather be the Wizards. I'd take a long – also, I mean, they've been saying this in D.C. forever, but they have a front office. That front office thinks that they have time. I like the people they put together there.
Bunch of assets, some nice young players.
Yeah, they've got. I mean, are they the Thunder? No. Are they the Thunder 3 years ago? No. But I mean, I'm not sure how many teams I'd rather be the Bucks then. I think I'd rather the Suns.
So we're in agreement on the Wizards. I think we're in agreement on the Jazz. The Hawks.
It's a good question. I haven't looked at their. Yeah, I'd rather be Atlanta. Trae Young is a reliable
This is
player.
where it gets a little shaky for me. The Hornets. The Hornets are a rough one.
Yeah, I mean, their best player can't stay healthy.
Also, doesn't really understand how to play basketball.
I like watching them play. I'd rather be. It depends on the upcoming draft, right? But as we can be certain right now, the draft lottery, which I'm going to be at, is in 2 or 3 weeks. So my answer could change on some of these. You still have Giannis, and that still is the potential for a haul. I mean, what you said 4 first-round picks, but can you demand more if he's flexible? We've seen Rudy Gobert go for 4 first-round picks.
Yeah,
we saw Bridges go for 4.
Five.
Five.
Yeah. Yeah. That was just off the top of my head where I was thinking, like, if you're Oklahoma City and you gave up a bunch of your young, good bench players plus like I mean, you'd get like
Fair.
some really good young players. Houston could do the same kind of deal. I think if you're a team that's not Houston or Oklahoma City, maybe, San Antonio that has like some assets, but not as many, maybe it would be more.
Would you be willing to trade Jalen Green as part of a deal?
I was thinking about that. Yes, the answer is yes, because it's Giannis, and ultimately, like Jalen Green, I like a lot, but he's so streaky, and like how many shots? Like also, Giannis takes a ton of shots. Somebody's shots are going to fall off, and like Jalen Green have a good time in Milwaukee. The ones that I think that were the most provocative in our chat were the Suns and the Sixers. I would much rather be the Bucks.
I put the Sixers in there for you.
I think I'd rather be the Suns, just because
the Bucks.
You move.
Yeah, you have 2 stars to move.
Well, you've got Booker. You could always move on from Booker if you really wanted to. You've got KD. You're going to move on from KD, and you're going to get off of Beal before you're going to get off of, I believe, unless it's 2 years on both. Is it 2 years on both? Beal might have 2 years as well.
I would rather be the Suns, but I would rather be a Bucks fan, because I think it's a separate question in that Ishbia is still going to be the owner, right? If it's me,
Bill does have 2 more years. That's tough. Yeah, it's bad both ways.
Ishbia as the owner does not. By the way, I'm not sure that John Horst instills a lot of confidence. Like, I like John, but he traded away Drew Holiday. He brought in Lillard. He went and got Kyle Kuzma. He didn't trade Milton early enough. I don't know that he hired Doc Rivers, but whatever. It's on his watch. But I think I trust Milwaukee to do more with less than I trust the Suns.
Bad though. Bad both ways. What about the Sixers? I wouldn't want to be the Sixers for any reason, but in this instance, I guess just because there's a non-zero chance that Embiid can actually play next year and that Paul George isn't awful. But even if those two things, you put them aside and they're a wash, at least you have Tyrese Maxey and McCain. And if they keep their pick, that's something, I guess.
We know the Suns and the Bucks aren't going to work. You can hold out hope the Sixers will, but I've been around you enough.
I don't.
No,
there you go.
A year from now, that it's going. No, now I know. It's interesting. I was going to ask you how you evaluate Daryl in his Sixers tenure, because it hasn't worked. But he's like, the McCain pick's a really nice pick, and it felt like the PG thing was a coup, but it wasn't. So I still think Daryl Morey is a really good GM. You know what, he's like the Sixers. He's got a high ceiling, but he better get it done. Yeah. I don't know. It's tough.
It's all those situations are bad situations. All right, let's do Knicks and Pistons. So you and I were very Pistons curious coming into this series. We thought maybe they could pull it out. What a blow for them. They still haven't won a game in a playoff game in Detroit since 2008, because the Knicks squeezed one out yesterday, Bill, by 1 point. Cat hit a go-ahead 3 with 46 seconds left. The Knicks are now up 3-1, but there was an end-of-game controversy where there was a scramble under the basket, kick out to Tim Hardaway as time was about to expire. Josh Hart closes out on him. The official was standing next to Tim Hardaway, Bill.
Swallowed his whistle.
Runs into Tim Hardaway in the air, clearly alters the shot. No foul call. JB Bickerstaff absolutely lost his mind, and rightly so. We'll hear from JB in a second. We'll hear from Josh Hart in a second. What did you think in the moment? I was astounded that there was no call.
The official was a coward. That was what I thought in the moment. It's the game. That call. Here's the thing about, and look, I've never been an official. I've been an umpires, whatever, for the Little League. And for soccer, that stuff's hard, right? As I bump my table, it looks like there's an earthquake. I'm so fired up. Whether you blow the whistle or you don't, you're deciding the game. The minute that contact happens,
100%.
The official is deciding the game, and so since you have to decide it properly. They should have called.
Are you swayed at all by the argument by people who watch the game that the game had been extremely physical and they really did swallow their whistle for much of the day?
With all respect to Ashley Nicole Moss, who put that out there, and the other Knicks fans who put that out there, it's a reasonable emotional reaction. All right, it's a reason but that's why you have officials, so that the fans can be the fans and the officials can be the officials. A physical game and allowing them to play is different than a guy shooting for a buzzer beater, game beater, and being mauled and taken out by Josh Hart.
The situation absolutely matters. It's one thing to say in the middle of the third quarter that there was a drive and you didn't call a foul on Cade Cunningham or something. It's another on a buzzer beater that could alter the course of the game and did, right? Because the shot was altered. The buzzer beater, the buzzer goes off and the shot is altered and Detroit ends up losing. Like, that's one of the circumstances matter. Situations matter. And that's a situation that stole a game from Detroit. That should have been free throws at the end of the game with Tim Hardaway on the line. And they had a chance. They could have looked at it and fixed it, and they didn't. And JB Bickerstaff and Josh Hart were talking about it after the. Let's hear from JB, because I think rightly he took some umbrage with it, and then Josh Hart was asked about it as well.
There's contact on Tim Hardaway's jump shot. I don't know any other way around it. There's contact on his jump shot. The guy leaves his feet. He's at Timmy's mercy. And I repeat, there's contact on his jump shot.
I made contact with him, yeah. I mean, I made contact with him. Was it legal? I don't know. We'll let the 2-minute report say that.
He knows.
So not surprisingly, he says, let's what the 2-minute report is. So crew chief David Guthrie talked to pool reporters after the game. Here's what he said. During live play, it was judged that Josh Hart made a legal defensive play. After post-game review, we observed that Hart makes body contact that is more than marginal to Hardaway Jr., and a foul should have been called. Bill, this is the second year in a row that the Knicks won a playoff game, and the last 2-minute report is basically like, meh.
Let me ask you a question. And you and I are soccer guys, so I'm going to point back to soccer. Obviously has VAR. It can intervene. I don't want NBA games to be any slower. I want them to actually be sped up at the end. I think it's, especially in the playoffs, I think when they're not close games, it's bad for the product and casual fans. But how would you feel about some sort of review process out of whatever, New York or Sea Caucus or somewhere out east, where within a time limit, 30 seconds a minute, there's the ability for the person to push a button and just pause the game and look and not have to worry about challenges. And because I think integrity of the game is sort of an eye-rolling expression, but all right, the official, give him the benefit of the doubt, just got it wrong. I'm so tired of the 2-minute report, and it doesn't matter. Enough of those 2-minute reports have come out to prove that human error is a part of the process of the officials, that maybe we should use some of this technology a little more efficiently to get this stuff right at the end of games.
Yeah, get stuff right at the end of games. I was in real time. I thought it was a foul. And I thought, as I was watching the game, well, where was the official positioned? He must have not had a good angle on it. And then when you saw that the official was standing next to Tim Hardaway, I was like, wow, that is an incredibly bad blown call. And then on top of that, for it to happen as time expired, my whole thought was, okay, this isn't something that happened in the middle of the third quarter or the fourth quarter. This is something that happened as time expired. Explain to me, when they know that they can go and look at it and they talk about it and they say they booted the call, why can't we've discussed, replays or whatever, but this isn't replaying the game or a moment from the game in the fourth quarter. This is just put Tim Hardaway on the free throw line and let him shoot the free throws. Why aren't we doing that?
Right. I mean, and Knicks fans are so happy, and I get it. This is a Pistons team that gave away game one. They basically stopped. They choked away game one. That's fine. That's basketball. But for the officials to take away a game four to effectively end the series on what you're talking about is unacceptable.
Brutal. And Aaron rightly points out that they didn't make the call. They didn't call a foul. Therefore, because there was no call, they can't review a no call, which is just, again, so patently absurd because, again, time and circumstance matters. And for it to happen on the buzzer beater, just a brutal one. This gives still more life to further conspiracy theories that the league really wants New York and Boston in the next round. And like, man,
it does.
That is not a great look for the NBA. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, sorry to all my Piston fan friends who were like really excited about that game and just wanted to see Tim Hardaway either make a free throw or not make it. You should have had it. You got screwed. Timeout. On the other side, the Lakers are up against it, down 3-1 against the Wolves, and only one man was brave enough to pick Minnesota. We'll discuss who that was on the other side. This is Beyond the Arc.
The clock never stops. Relive the greatest moments with uninterrupted highlights and more.
It's Gareth Bale. Ronaldo. Wonderful goal.
On the UEFA Champions League channel. Streaming free.
Welcome back to Beyond the Arc. A reminder, you can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Arc CBS. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe, click on the bell symbol. When you click on that, you'll get notified when we go live. We think we're going to go live tomorrow night following a bunch of elimination games. Just be on the lookout for that. We'll probably be up after the Magic and the Celtics game, but come and join us if we do. All right, Lakers and Wolves, Bill. Wolves end up winning this game. It looked like the Lakers were in control. Then they just kind of gave it away in the fourth quarter. The Wolves end up winning this by 3. They are now up 3-1 in the series. Before we get into the machinations of what happened here, I and a lot of people, I looked all around the internet for experts like us, people who cover the NBA, to somebody to find who picked the Wolves. I picked the Lakers. Literally every single person at CBSSports.com picked the Lakers. All of the people, a bunch of people at The Athletic and some other outlets picked the Lakers. Bill, do you know one person who picked the Wolves?
I know one guy. I know one courageous soul who didn't pick them last year and lost a bet he hasn't paid off yet. And so this year, he has learned his lesson.
Bill Ryder, our NBA insider, had the temerity, the strength, the courage to pick the Wolves when nobody else did. I told you, I was on the Wolves last year. I love the Wolves. I hate that you have taken them from me, but you were right. They've been the better team. They're up 3-1. They're in the driver's seat. You get to peacock a little bit on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, I didn't think I'm surprised it was that many people because I thought it'd be a close series. I just thought it was clear that they're a better basketball team. And I mean, I keep bringing this up, but the Lakers have not been very efficient since the trade happened. They've won games because Luka and LeBron are really, really amazing together. But Anthony Edwards, this is what we discussed. He had to be the best player several times to win the series, and he is. I mean, he's been the best player in this series, I think. And what do you have, 16 fourth-quarter points yesterday? That performance
was awesome yesterday.
Down 10. And I know you and I just agreed on this in HQ, and I want to get into this a little bit because I'm open to your perspective. I thought J.J. Redick – look, he's arrogant, man. He's arrogant. I mean, you can be arrogant. I don't think arrogant's a bad thing. I talked to Tom Crean this morning because he got shouted out by Anthony Edwards, so I called him to just talk about Ant. And the reason Crean and I are buddies, I once wrote a very laudatory column that he was arrogant. And then he saw me at a press conference that day after winning an NCAA tournament game for Indiana and came out of the press conference to argue with me. I'm like, Tom, I like arrogance. It can be fine. I don't know if it's fine with J.J. Redick because this guy's smarter than everybody. He's the smartest guy on the face of the earth. And he played every one of the players that he started in the second half the entire time.
Second half.
LeBron ran out of steam, made all those mistakes, didn't score. You asked me yesterday, who else would you play? Other people in the second quarter. But you don't think Steve Kerr wants to play Steph the entire? To me, JJ bungled that game.
So LeBron played 46 minutes, and it was sort of a mixed bag. He went for 27, 12, 8, 3 steals, 3 blocks. Yep. Late in the game,
had a big block.
Couldn't get a bucket to go, but he also had a big block on Dante. He stripped Nas, but then he flubbed the inbound pass late, and then he fouled Ant with 9 seconds. So it was a mixed bag. Luka played 46 minutes.
Didn't score.
38 points. Yeah, he didn't score in the fourth. That was a problem, but he did all these other things. So it was it's good and it's bad. But so Kirthika Thayo Kumar put this out about JJ is the first coach in play-by-play era history to play 5 players all 24 minutes and a half. So he played the starters plus Dorian Finney-Smith. Jackson Hayes only played 4 minutes in the game. Jared Vanderbilt only played 7 minutes. Gabe Vincent's the guy I probably would have given a couple more minutes to. He played 13, and then Jordan Goodwin played 7 minutes. So I probably would have played Gabe and Vando a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, look, this isn't the first game they played this year, right? So it is the first time they played 5 guys the entire second half. There are rotations and options. The other thing is, if they had been down the Lakers 1 point going to the fourth quarter, they'd blown the 10-point lead in the third quarter, and they were down 1 head into the fourth, and they were facing a 3-1 series deficit and probably the end of the series. Even then, I would think it was ridiculous not to manage the situation better. They were up 10. Yeah. I mean, they were up 10 points. There was the opportunity to rest LeBron and, see if some other guys can come in, add a little bit of energy, try to hold as much lead as possible, and rest LeBron for 5 or 2 or 1.5 minutes, right? He didn't do that. And so he was, in my opinion, Redick was panicking, historical sort of move, while they were still up 10.
Being up 10 is when you could have gotten a couple more minutes out of Gabe Vincent for sure. There's no doubt about that. I think looking at what LeBron did last night, there were moments when I was like, man, what an effort from LeBron.
He's amazing.
Like him flubbing the inbound pass. I don't think it was because he was tired. I just think he flubbed the inbound pass. He made a mistake. Fouling Ant was it was a bad foul. He shouldn't have made that foul.
When you're tired and you're 40 mental exhaustion is a thing too, right? I mean, it's like the
Oh, yeah.
whole. I mean, I don't know. You're right. I can't prove it, but I'm not used to LeBron making those kind of mistakes, and I'm not used to him not being able to score in a fourth quarter as a team makes a comeback. And
It certainly opens up JJ Redick for questioning, for criticism, for people being like, exactly what we're doing right now. Well, like it's one thing to shorten your rotations. It's another not to give your main guys any time off. And maybe they were a little gassed there. I have a question for you though. So they're down 3-1. If they lose the series, and certainly the odds are against them winning this series, I and everybody else, especially at CBS Sports Network, Save You, thought that they were going to march on and we were going to have this like Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green battle royale with him and Luka. If they lose the series, what kind of season is it ultimately when we look back on it for the Lakers?
Great question.
On one hand, they get the 3 seed, which I think is higher than a lot of people expected, and they got Luka, which is unquestionably a win. However, you crash out in the first round to the Wolves. That sucks. So, like, is it like it's kind of a mixed bag season?
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up on when you and I were talking with Chris Williamson on CBS Sports HQ last night, and I couldn't quite get it in because there was a lot of stuff going on.
So much.
I love the point. I think it's a wildly successful season because they got Luka Doncic, and I think when that trade happened, for me, the victory, the surety of it being a great move wasn't this year. It was the years ahead, and this year was going to be all bonus if it happened. And I think they raised expectations with how well they played, how many games they won, how they got to that 3 seed over the rest of the regular season. I think if there's an issue here, I think it's in the sort of gray areas of how do you assess JJ's performance as a coach in his first year, by the way. You're allowed to improve, and you and I may sort of assess that differently, and other people might. And I think maybe in the nuances there's, hey, LeBron doesn't have that many years left. He apparently has time left, but he is 40, and he will be 41 midway through next season. I think it's December. But I think all that's pretty marginal. I mean, I think it's the season's a massive success because if they can get Luka to be conditioned and or have the right pieces around him, they'll be playing much more meaningful basketball in 2 or 3 years for several years in a row, and that'll all go back to 2025.
The one caveat here is that you have 40-year-old LeBron, and next year you're looking at 41-year-old LeBron. And this year at 40-year-old LeBron, when he was playing really good basketball, and there was a point when you and I were like, should he be 5th on the MVP voting? Like, he's been that good, and he's going to make All-NBA again.
He was for me.
He was fantastic. And that's a perfectly fine vote. My question though, like, you're wasting an opportunity this season. Like, look, it's credit to the Wolves. The Wolves played fantastic, but I expected, okay, these two guys, the star power is there. Ant has been absolutely unbelievable. You know what the other thing is? The supporting cast for the Wolves, the Wolves really figured it out second half, how to play together. Defensively, they got much better. Julius Randle wasn't an absolute zero for them.
He's been good.
Yes, he's been good. And that was something that I kind of doubted. I was like, well, are they going to have enough to get over? Like, Naz Reid hit some really big shots in the second half last night. Dante DiVincenzo had an awful start to the season. Awful.
He was good last
lately,
night too.
He's all of a sudden that supporting cast is like kind of figured it out. And you and I previously were like, you got to get rid of Julius Randle yesterday. And now
we tried to fire him.
Now all of a sudden, like next year, I guess you're not that bummed out that he's going to probably pick up his option.
I mean, let's see how it goes, right? Even if you lose to the Warriors in the next round, and that may not be the series, Rockets fans, I understand. But let's say that there's because if Jimmy Butler's fine, I would take the Warriors. It'd be close. I think I'd take the Warriors. If you battle, if you lose in whatever 6 or 7, and Randall plays well, you're thrilled that he picks it up, because if he can turn around his what has been until this year abysmal playoff record as an NBA player into even being satisfactory, and I think he's been much better than satisfactory. I mean, proof of concept. It works. You'd be very excited to have him.
We'll see if the Lakers can climb back into it. The Nuggets climbed back into the series, Bill, over the weekend.
Crazy too.
So they got absolutely throttled in game 3. Games 1 and 2 were classics. They were awesome. Game 4 might have been even better. I had the post-game call on that for HQ, and what a buzzer beater. The series is now tied 2-2. It's tied, Bill, because Joker threw up what amounted to the shot equivalent of a Hail Mary at the end of the game, and it didn't get anywhere near going into the basket, but instead here comes Aaron Gordon with his cape on, and he throws down a dunk as the buzzer expires, and it was so close that they had to review it to see if his hand was still on.
It was amazing.
The ball was like in the cylinder, but his hand was on, and ultimately it was called good, and the series is now tied 2-2. But have you ever seen any buzzer beater that close before?
No, and like Jokic's accidental air ball assist, like even when the guy misses, he doesn't miss. No, it's amazing, and it sort of speaks to how two things you and I talked about in the lead up to the postseason getting going. One, the matchups are awesome, like there are real, and two, every team, and I was wrong on this, other than because Memphis is wrong, but almost every team is good enough to win their opening round series. I mean, that's part of the surprise on Lakers Wolves. That's part of the excitement of Rockets. Warriors, and that it's definitely true in this series because it's been, other than that game 3, it's an amazing series.
It's been an amazing series. I wanted to see how the Nuggets would respond after game 3 because they got absolutely blown off the floor. And I thought for much of the night they were fantastic. Joker, not surprisingly, goes for a double-double, almost a triple-double. He was super efficient. All 5 starters were in double figures. You have Aaron Gordon with the game winner. Jamal Murray had a rough shooting night, but MPJ was playing through a shoulder injury. They didn't have Russ. I thought that they were hamstrung for a lot of, because like for whatever Russ can give and Russ can take, but that bench after Russ is really bad. So for them to play like that without Russ, I thought was great. They're up 22, Bill, and then they gave it all away. The Clips got their lead, their first lead of the game with a little over a minute left in the game.
Felt like it was over too.
I thought that this was, here come the Clippers. The Nuggets have, tricked this off and lost it. They end up winning the game. When the call was made, I don't know if you saw this, Joker was sitting on the sideline looking up at the scoreboard, and they make the call that the basket is good and the Nuggets have won the game. Everybody on the Nuggets celebrated except for Joker, who looked pissed off that they had gotten themselves into that situation. And I think probably went into the locker room and told them so.
Oh, I mean, the guy carries himself as a champion, right? He knows they're playing with fire. I mean, Kawhi Leonard at the level he is playing at in this series, that is a Clippers team that is everything that they hoped they would be and that people like me doubted. I mean, as we discussed, was a big Clippers doubter. And so Jokic knows that there's no margin for error. And by the way, if literally by a fraction of a second, if that is chalked off when we go to overtime, I mean, maybe the Clippers win that thing. And maybe
I thought it was headed for overtime and that would be a really brutal Nuggets loss after losing in game 3 and then giving away a 22-point lead. They didn't lose though. They won the game. I understand why Aaron Gordon celebrated and the rest of the team was happy to win the game. I also understand why Joker is Joker and that, he was looking at it, with a wider view that they shouldn't have put themselves in that situation. But hey, man, playoff basketball is hard. Sometimes these things happen. You should be elated that it's tied 2-2 and that you got out of it by the skin of your teeth. It's just he can't help himself. He's so Nikola Jokic. It's really amazing. All right, I think that's gonna do it for. We have Rockets Warriors tonight. You want to just talk about the Warriors pulling one out without Jimmy?
Yeah, I mean, I think did we do HQ on that together? I can't even remember if that was me and you. Yeah, me either. It's a huge win. Obviously, it's a gigantic win, and it's a reminder that a lot of these there's a lot of X's and O's and the depth. A lot of it comes down to who's the best player on the floor. That was true. That's why Timberwolves won, because Ant was the best player at the end of the game. And what happened in that Warriors game is that Steph Curry was Steph Curry.
You're the Rockets.
It's a reminder of how good he is.
It really is a reminder, because in game 2, when Jimmy went out, the Warriors offense looked like the Warriors offense pre-Jimmy, where it was slow and it was mucky and they were in the mud and they couldn't get any spacing and everybody was focusing on Steph. And then all of a sudden in game 3, Steph was like, yeah, that was true, but you have to remember that I'm Steph Curry and there are nights when I'm just going to be better than everybody else on the floor.
Also, my favorite role player in the NBA, because I met him when he was 12 or 13, because I work with Gary Payton, is his son GP2. He's a great kid and I love the way he plays. He had a hell of a game. He had a hell of an end of that game. Yeah.
Yes, he did. Buddy wasn't bad. Pajemski was in double fingers. And I thought Draymond also defensively was fantastic in that game. But the Rockets have to be kicking themselves because now all of a sudden you've got game 4 tonight in Golden State. And, Jimmy was almost going to play in game 3.
Right.
He might be back for game 4. And that's, you had an opportunity there to steal one and really put the Warriors up against it. And instead, now you're up against it and you absolutely need this game. How do you feel about this game tonight? Who do you think?
Look, I think the Rockets can win, but if Butler's playing, for me, it's easy to think the Warriors are the better team. They have more,
Yeah.
I think. They have more experience in these kind of games, which matters. I mean, the Rockets haven't really pulled their Pistons moment yet where they've given away a game, but that's possible. I mean, they are a really young team. I don't know, is Jalen Green going to score 9 points or is he going to score 52 points tonight?
They had 4 of their 5 starters in double figures in that game, also Jabari Smith, but also Bill. It was such a Rockets game where you had all these guys being involved and all of them scoring in double figures, but they also shot sub 40% from the floor. And I was like, oh, right. They're a terrible shooting team. Like, of course they lost that game. Warriors tonight, minus 3.5 point favorites. So we'll see what happens there. We're going to be back tomorrow. We should do team of the night. It was a big weekend. Let's do a little team of the night action.
I haven't even thought of team. Who are you going with?
Well, I'm not going to take the Knicks. I'll tell you that much. You didn't deserve that win, New York. I'll take the Nuggets. Look, I know that they gave away that 22-point lead, but they won the game. And Aaron Gordon, man, you saved not just that game, you saved the season. That it's over. That's a wrap. Like you fired your head coach and your general manager, and you're about to be down 3-1 to the Clippers, and instead you're right in the thick of it, and it's a 3-game series now.
All right, I'll go Timberwolves. I'll lean into the team that I stole from you. Right? It's like your high school sweetheart, but now I'm dating her in college. It's a weird.
Man, you really are.
You know, this was yours, but you looked the other way. You gave up on them. You didn't know what you had, John.
I didn't. You don't know what you have until absence makes the heart grow fonder. It really does.
Down 10, amazing comeback. Anthony Edwards was incredible. Give me Timberwolves, team of the night.
All right, there you go. That's going to do it for us today. We're going to be back at it tomorrow, and I'm pretty sure this is right, on CBS Sports Network at noon Eastern, I believe, 9 a.m. Pacific. Sure. Come and join us on the network tomorrow. We'll discuss all kinds of things. We didn't get to a bunch of stuff today, so we'll discuss Oklahoma City throttling the Grizzlies and what the Grizzlies offseason is going to look like. It's possible that the Heat will also be in an exit interview situation tomorrow. We'll discuss Warriors and Rockets game 4 tonight, and we'll probably do some more as we learn more about Dame Lillard tomorrow. So yeah, CBS Sports Network tomorrow. But for now, for our NBA insider Bill Ryder, I'm John Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.